Welcome to iNaturalist 101. In this training video, we will cover the basics of iNaturalist and how to get started. So what is iNaturalist? iNaturalist is a mobile and online platform that allows you to virtually store your observations from the field. It's also a social network and allows you to share your observations with others, as well as to collaborate and create different kinds of community-based and citizen science projects. So what does iNaturalist consider an observation? iNaturalist considers an observation an encounter with an individual organism or life form, and includes the basic information of who took that information, when they saw that information, where they saw that information, and on what date and time. The evidence usually includes a visual observation such as a photo or an auditory observation. There are some definite do's and don'ts when it comes to uploading observations. The first recommendation is do upload a test photo. It gives you a good opportunity to try out the different features of iNaturalist. We just ask that you mark it as a test photo and remove it as soon as you can. Second recommendation is do take photos of weeds. You can both be useful to many different projects out there, as there are many projects that are focusing on invasive species and many other native species. And finally, if you do happen to take a photograph or an observation of something you know is cultivated or captive, please note it when you upload the observation. There are 3 don'ts I'm going to recommend. The first one is don't photograph pets or houseplants, as we know what these are. The second one we're going to recommend is don't photograph people's faces, especially children, as this is breaking many privacy laws. And finally, the last recommendation is don't upload other people's photos. We want your photos from the field. This also can open up the issue of copyright laws. If you can't get a photo, try again or upload the observation without a photo. So let's get started. The first thing you're going to need to do is to create an account. I recommend doing this online versus on your phone, but it can be done in both locations. To create an account, all you'll need is an email address and a password. You can also use Facebook and Google credentials to sign up for an account. After you've created an account and logged in, you'll see a screen that looks very similar to the one you're looking at. It'll have many different tabs and options of different things you can do. This video will not cover all of those, and I'd recommend going back at a later date and exploring those different options. This training video will look at how to add observations both online and in a mobile setting. The first thing we'll look at is how to add observations on an online setting. First, you'll click the little button at the top right hand corner that says Add Observations. It'll take you to a screen that looks something similar to what you're looking at now. From this menu, you'll have the opportunity to upload observations, usually in the form of a photo. You'll notice that most of the fields have been filled in, as they auto-fill in if the information and the metadata was associated with the picture. You can also click in those fields and edit that information if need be. You also have the opportunity here, by clicking in the field where you can see the red arrow, to take advantage of the built-in algorithm that's going to look at your picture and try to identify it for you. Once you've selected identification, you have one step left, which is to upload and share your observation with the iNaturalist community and use the power of crowdsourcing to see if you can get an even better identification. Now let's go ahead and walk through the steps of how to use an iPhone to collect observations in the field. The first thing you're going to need to do is open up the app. Once you open the app, you should see something similar to what you see on the screen in front of you with a list of all your observations. You see something that says Add Observation or plus sign. Once you click that, you'll see a new menu open up. This new menu will give you the option of adding observations either with or without a photo. You can either take the photo right then, or you can upload a photo that's already on your phone. You'll also have the option on some types of phones to upload an audio observation. For this training, we'll pretend that we are going to take a photo. Once you hit the photo button in the middle, it'll open up your camera. After taking your photo, you'll have the option of either retrying and taking a new one or using the photo. After you click OK, the photo will be pulled into iNaturalist and it'll autofill all the fields. If it doesn't fill all the fields, your GPS may be turned off and you may need to adjust it in your settings. The next step now is to try to identify the observation. If you click in the area that I've highlighted yellow, a new menu will open up and the iNaturalist software will try to identify your observation based on similarity. The top choice is the closest group it believes it belongs to, followed by 10 different similar species. And you have the opportunity then to view and compare those different choices. It's important to note that this feature only works if you have strong Wi-Fi or a good 4 or 5G signal. One of the other useful features of iNaturalist is the ability to compare your observations with a generated list of observations, as you can see here by clicking on the two double arrows in different directions I've highlighted in yellow. This feature then allows you to zoom in on your photo while comparing it against a series of other photos to make a better identification. Once you think you've identified it to the best of your ability, you can then hit the green select button and your observation will be uploaded into the iNaturalist platform, where others will be able to weigh in and use the power of crowdsourcing to help you better identify your observation. The platform for both Androids and iPhones are very similar, but there's definitely some differences that are worth highlighting. The first difference is the location of options. On an Android on the left in this picture, you can see that all the options are on the top, whereas on iPhone they're typically found along the bottom. A second major difference is that at this time, if you can see on the ribbon on the bottom, that iPhones do not have the option to upload an audio. And finally, another major difference is when you go to upload an observation, iPhones typically down here on the right you can see uses a green plus share button, whereas Androids usually use a check. And the other major difference is that iPhones at this time don't have the ability to compare observations. Before I wrap up this iNaturalist 101 training, I want to make a few comments about projects. There are hundreds of different projects on the iNaturalist platform on all different scales, from regional to national to worldwide, and may focus on all different types of taxa. When you upload your observations, unless you mark them as private, they may become part of another person's project. Once you're up and running and comfortable using iNaturalist, use the pull-down menus and check out some of the different projects around you and find one to join. You should have enough knowledge now after watching this training to get yourself up and running and begin adding observations to iNaturalist. I look forward to seeing your observations on iNaturalist.